Hello, my name is Charlotte Brathwaite. I want you to do me a favor. On the count of three, I want you to shake out your body any way that gives you pleasure and say your name in the air. 1, 2, 3. Nice to meet you. My creative capital project is called Forgotten Paradise, Gazette's Son. It's both a nonfiction film and a performance installation. While doing research for it, I found out about an archive in London with records from the African diaspora, so I went there looking for my history. Sifting through documents, records, maps, photographs, I found out about, found some slave ship logs, and sifting through those slave ship logs, two names came across me that stood out to me. Affliction Brathwaite and Charlotte Brathwaite. I'm an artist. I tell stories with the body. My work exists precariously between forms. I make parties that occupy public space, sacred processions. I make work intentionally infused with activism, community building, and justice at its heart. I create experiences that enliven the senses and invite all bodies to acknowledge our shared legacies of pain and our capacity for joy. This is an image from my first film, Only When It's Dark Enough You Can See the Stars. You can catch it this summer at the Black Star Film Festival in Philadelphia. Originally, it was presented within a large-scale installation with sculptures and music and live performance at the Whitney Museum of Art. I've been developing this kind of hybrid work for years with a core group of longtime collaborators. My artworks create containers for radical acts of healing and communion to take place. My process is responsive to that intention. I'm always asking, how do we truly know ourselves and account for our legacies? How do we heal, and how do we love better? Forgotten Paradise comes out of my own yearning to create something beyond a box anyone could imagine. It's my greatest effort to date to try to unify film, installation, music, story, and the body. It's also the most personal artistic exploration I've ever taken on. It's my attempt at trying to resurrect a history that's been erased and denied. I was born in England to parents from Barbados, and I assume to have ancestral roots in West Africa. The idea for Forgotten Paradise grew when I, an only child from birth, united for the first time with my half-brother about 6 years ago. Feeling a close connection to him, I started to think about family connections, separations, the lost, forgotten, and silenced parts of my past. That led me to do more research into the transatlantic slave trade. There, I noticed that family separation was used as a tool of oppression. Even today, we face governments that separate children from their families at borders. Last summer, I was able to take a small group of collaborators, including visual artists and Creative Capital awardee Abigail DeVille and my half-brother Ryan, to Ghana. The footage you're about to see is an example of site-specific, ritualized performance I want to create for this project. I want to link locations important to my past. Forgotten Paradise, Gazette's Son has led me to those places. This performance took place in Accra's historic Jamestown. That's my brother with the sculpture on his head. The performance started in Usher Fort, a fort used to hold the captured and enslaved until they were shipped across the Atlantic. It was used as a prison until the 1990s. I want to stage 5 more performances at locations important to the slave trade in Barbados, England, and other parts of West Africa. The project will collage documentation of these performances, interviews with my family and scholars, archival photographs, maps, and a narrative story from voices of the slave trade, starting with Affliction and Charlotte Brathwaite, the two women I found named in slave ship logs. Starting in pre-slavery West Africa and traveling up until today, the project will be both a nonfiction film and a performance installation presented together with sculptures by Abigail DeVille and music and live performance by Michelle Indeghio, Justin Hicks, and others. In addition to creative capital support, I was also awarded a United States Artist Fellowship this year. These funds will help, but I still need a lot to make Forgotten Paradise Gazette Sun happen. I want to find producing partners and industry professionals in the United States, the Caribbean, Europe, and Africa who can offer strategic financial distribution and production support, who can see the potential of this project to tell this history in a new way. I need international and national paid residency so I can have focused time to work with my collaborators, as well as support housing during location scouting and during shooting. I want to find a writer and researcher with a Pan-African, multidisciplinary understanding of the transatlantic slave trade to collaborate with. I'm looking to present this project to the world in late 2021 within the time frame of the United Nations General Assembly International Decade for People of African Descent. I also need institutions interested in partnering and co-producing to present the final installation version of this work in large-size venues, who are excited about cultivating an audience who can enter this work from as many different perspectives as possible. I want to find a way for the film to be readily accessible to international audiences on platforms like Netflix and Canopy. I'm also looking for an agent or an agency who can work across disciplines and support this project as well as my work at large. When I came across Charlotte and Affliction in the slave ship logs in the archive in London, I wished I could reach across time and ask them if they could remember our real last name. This project is my attempt at trying to reach them. Thank you.